All right, well, we are continuing our discussion about Christian lifestyle and finances, and today we're going to be talking about saving and investing. Big question for you. I need a show of hands. It's a yes or no question. Are saving and investing the same thing? Give me a show of hands if you think they're the same thing. No. If you think they're not the same thing, give me a hand up. Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and put your hand up. Okay, so I'm guessing by the answers here that most of you believe that saving and investing are not the same thing. Is that a true statement?
True.
Not exactly the same.
Not exactly the same. Okay, we're gonna. Ooh, I like where you're going. Maybe you see my slide. I don't know where you're going. But in principle, they are not the same thing. So, are a hammer and a screwdriver the same thing?
No.
Can I use a hammer for a screwdriver if I had to?
No.
You don't think I could drive a screw with a hammer if I had to? There's a little bit of overlap there. Tiny bit of overlap. That's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at what are these two things in our Christian walk and how we think about it. How can we utilize saving and investing in a productive way? Okay? So, big question, what is the difference then? If you think they're not the same, what is the difference?
You have more control over your savings, don't you?
A little more control? Okay, I like where you're going with that. Yes, sir.
Well, the money we saved, we still have. The money we invested, we lost.
Oh, okay. That's not a good track record, but what you're saying is savings are maybe a little bit more secure.
Yes.
Investing maybe is a little bit more risky.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is that where you're going? All right.
Investing can be a more lucrative long-term option for saving.
All right. Oh, what time frame are we talking about? Is investing maybe a little more long-term? But also save for retirement. That's a long. Okay. But maybe time frames come into play there. Yeah, Cass, you ever thought?
Savings for most people, they lose the value of buying power.
Through inflation? So everyone with that?
Inflation.
Okay.
Hopefully investing, you grow your buying power over time.
Okay. Maybe investing is a tool to beat long-term inflationary impacts so that I can stay ahead of inflation over a long time. Okay. So that's why I might want to look at investing versus just saving like that. John?
I think that saving more is for, I'm putting this away for the fact that I'm going to have an expense later on to buy a car. I'm going to save up to buy a car, whereas investing is, I'm planning for my future so that I'll be secure when I get older.
What is the purpose? What am I trying to achieve?
Yeah.
I like that. Very nice. Very good.
Well, if I may, it's the concept of saving it could be two different things. For example, this is basic, but let's say you bought a soda for $1, like a can of soda, right? And you put it on the shelf. And next year, if you wanted to buy that, if you had $1 in the savings account instead of buying that soda this year, right? And that dollar grew 3% interest, so it went to $1.03. But the can of soda next year goes up to $1.05. Now you don't have enough money to buy the soda can. But if you would have bought it last year and put it on the shelf, you don't have the $1, but you have a can of soda that you saved that's worth $1.05.
We could talk for weeks about inflation, the impact of money over time.
So it depends on how you save, I think.
I bought a box of Girl Scout cookies yesterday. How much I paid for a box of Girl Scout cookies?
$6.
$6. I thought it was $5. I thought the last box of Girl Scout cookies I bought was $5.
And there was 10 cookies in it, right?
I think the sleeve's smaller. And, so anyway, I'm like, I thought they were $5. And Joel said, no, actually they used to be $3. I'm like, oh, $6. $2.50? Yeah. So everything is going up, right? That's inflation. And so I may look at an investing strategy to beat inflation over time. So there's different purposes. They have different reasons. Saving is essentially, dictionary.com defines it, as sums of money accumulated by economy and laid away. So the idea of I'm putting something away, I'm saving it. Putting this off to not spend, I'm going to save it. That's the concept, right? Instead of spending it, I'm going to save it. I'm going to lay it away. It was gained through some economic means, and I'm going to set it away. Now, in our budgeting exercises, we talk about saving there, and maybe do you remember what some of the percentages were that Brian shared?
20% of savings.
I heard a lot. What was that?
20% of savings.
20%? Ooh, that's good. You can save 20. That's awesome.
No, that's what he said.
That's what he said? Yeah, well, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's doable.
Yeah, it's doable. Yeah. I mean, those of you that are still working have a 401k? 401k? Usually they'll have limits. There's concepts there where, all right, maybe I'm going to get a company match at a certain percent, 6% or 5%, 10%, whatever. Maybe that's my target. I want to get that company match, right? Or maybe my goal is I want to max out, right? Maybe they'll allow me to put 15% in, so I'm going to go for a max, right? So I'm trying to, instead of spending it, I'm going to shave it off the top and set it aside, lay it away. That's what savings is. That's what we mean by savings. It's not when you go to the grocery store and your bill's $80 and they say you saved 50 today. You ever see that? Well, I know I didn't save 50, I just spent 80, right? But saving is the idea of I'm laying it away. I'm not spending, I'm going to set it aside. Investing is to put money to use by purchase or expenditure in something offering potential profitable return. Okay? Interest, income, appreciating value. You invest in something. That's the concept. Okay? So we've got this idea of, we're going to look at savings as not spending it, setting it aside, and investing as putting it to work. So those are the two mindsets we're going to approach today. We're just going to really simplify it that way. Does that make sense? Y'all with me on that? All right. So we're going to look at saving and investing today, coming around the heels of budgeting, because we have to understand, well, how much am I going to budget to save? Budgeting, your savings should be, your investing, should be a line item in your budget, right? Plan for it. We'll just make it, well, I've got $5 left, so I guess I'll save that. I mean, just like we talk about, giving to God, let's plan for that. Let's plan then to give to ourselves in our future, okay? So why save? Why lay it away? Why not just spend it now?
Emergency.
Because
Might have an emergency come up? Yeah. If I don't have money laid away for an emergency, what am I going to do?
Get a credit card?
Put on a credit card. Yeah, exactly right.
You may want something later that you have the money to
Yeah.
pay for.
Yeah. Remember we talked about debt? We're trying to keep debt to a minimum. If I don't save for things I want to buy or unplanned expenses, what am I probably going to have to do? Go without? Walk to work?
Take a line of credit?
Or buy a line of credit to buy a car or borrow some money? So if I can save, I can stay ahead of things. I can plan my expenditures better, right? Yeah, right.
Saving for others, saving for kids' college funds. That's also increasing.
Yeah, saving for the kids' future, saving for your own future, perhaps. I want
Trade
to
school, whatever.
stop
Pilot
working
license.
sooner. What's that?
Trade school, pilot
Trade
license. That doesn't have to be college, but some kind of
Somebody wants to
formal higher
fly.
education. Yeah.
Somebody at that house wants to get a pilot's license.
Another good reason to save if you're a young family is to model it for your children, to show
Yeah.
them how to save and then explain why you're doing what you're doing and your plan for saving.
Yeah, instead of blowing everything and
And it shows them that they need
Yeah.
to be saving money too.
set a good example for the kids. So obviously, planning, be able to make purchases with. If I remember, I used the example of the house. We bought a house. What the cost of the house was, and then what was the cost of the house if I run 30 years of mortgage? The house was almost 4 times as much, 3.5 times as much by borrowing. So I can actually save money if I save up and buy with cash versus just borrowing and paying interest, right? So there's lots of reasons to save. Why invest then? Why put money to work? You guys hit on a couple reasons. Better return.
Compound interest is nice.
Compound, yeah. So
Compound interest is nice when it works for you. It's really bad when it works
Yeah.
against you, aka credit cards.
yeah. What were some of the examples? What was the reason that what were some of the reasons that people said? Inflation. What is inflation?
Money loses value.
Price of things go up. That's the effect of inflation. Inflation is technically more money chasing the same amount of stuff. That's why the price of it goes up, right? So what you have is you have a, let's call this risk, reward, right? I can stay low risk and low reward, right? This is your checking account. No risk, guaranteed. Anybody's in checking account paying interest these days? Savings account, still low risk, a little bit higher reward, right? Stock market, right? High reward, higher returns. What's the downside of that? High risk, right? So you've always got this curve going on here. So I'm always trying to determine, is my level of risk that I'm putting my money at worth the benefit gain there? Am I getting greater return on the investment? Is it more liquid? Is it guaranteed by the bank? Is it subject to the stock market going up and down? All these kind of things are going to drive the decision I make. So we're going to look at, we've got two chunks of money here. We've got a amount that we can save. Here's an amount that I'm going to use for savings. I'm going to lay it away instead of spending it. And then I got a chunk of money I'm going to put to work. Okay? Let's imagine that the normal house has these two chunks of money. Okay? What do you think about that? Anybody like Venn diagrams? What's this telling you?
There's overlap,
There's overlap. What do you mean by that? What's happening when there's an overlap?
that it can be both saving and investing.
Yeah, I can save through investing, right? Or I can use my savings to put to work. I can put my savings to work. Does that scare anybody? Anybody worried about that? Putting your savings to work? I'm going to ask this family in the back. Are you going to put your savings to work?
We do.
You do?
We also,
I'm going to doubt you do.
we put in church bonds one time, though, because we thought that that was a good thing, but we lost that also.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, so
all investing is not 100% right either.
Yeah.
So
think about putting your savings to work, and when should you do that? Yeah, Brian.
I have a good example. So we got 529s for the kids,
Mhm.
for all the kids, and it will balance it as the kids get older. So Kaysen is already caught up to Easton's, for example. Kaysen is 7, Easton is 13 now because Kaysen was in an aggressive funds and it automatically did that for him.
Uh-huh.
So as they get older, as they get closer to college, they're putting them in more conservative funds. More conservative funds. So it'll naturally do that, as we should in different stages of our life. Right? We can afford to be a little more aggressive now, me and Linda, but my parents, my dad's still fairly aggressive with his funding, but they should start slowing that down and make sure they're more conservative so they don't lose everything when they get to retirement.
Where am I at in that window?
Yeah.
Our daughters had a teacher they really liked in high school, and she was right on the edge of retiring. I would say she's probably mid-60s, 67 maybe, right there. She probably should have retired a year or two ago, but still teaching in 2008. And she had all of her money, all of her retirement was in mutual funds. At 67 years old in 2008, her entire retirement savings was in mutual funds. What do you think happened?
Mutual funds.
I mean, just destroyed. I mean, were there any mutual funds that did anything? I mean, everything. So she ended up having to work for 5 or 6 more years to try and recoup that, right? Just waiting too long to make the move out of here to here, right? So there's all kinds of strategies like that you can think about based on your age, how much money do you have to work with, right? What do you think about that model?
I think that's for someone young.
What's that?
I think that's for someone young.
You guys?
My 401k is like 98% stocks.
Yeah.
I'm 24.
24 years
I'm not
old.
retiring in 10 years.
Yeah, 24 years old. I would probably look at a model like this. You got your savings for a car, your emergency fund out here. Not everything, but why not roll? You've got 40 years of work ahead. Sorry to say.
If the economy crashes in 10 years, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm not retiring in 10 years.
I've kind of adopted that thing. Within a 10-year window, if I'm getting within a 10-year window, I'm backing way out of it.
Exactly.
Right. But if you've got a lot of time to recover, why not let it work for you? As long as you've got some liquid here that you can get to.
And understand that the market is going to dip, and you don't freak out, and you don't pull your stuff out when it dips, because eventually it'll come back up.
Yeah, I think we overreacted in 08. I wish we hadn't, now looking back in hindsight. But nobody knew what was going to happen. It was pretty scary at the time. Probably should let it ride. Probably pulled out too quick. Didn't go back in fast enough. But yeah, how much time do you have? That's going to drive that kind of question, right? Yeah, Jim.
They say it's not timing the market, it's time in the market.
How much time you have in it to recover? Yeah, the time. I mean, what they're saying, 10, 12% a year. So if you need to recover 30% losses, I might need to stay in there.
Like you said, about 10 years.
Yeah.
You have 10 years.
Yeah. But I get within 10 years, if something happens, do I have enough time to recover then? You know, so that's the rule of thumb I've been going, but that's just us, right? What do you think about that mall? Who would use
64
that
and
mall?
ready to retire.
What's that?
That's 64 and ready to retire.
Yeah, that's, I would say that's 60 and ready to retire, in my opinion, yeah. Within a few years of Social Security, you know, if you're gonna get back out of the workforce here soon, or you're out of the workforce, I wouldn't say pull it all out, but, I mean, you want it all at risk? Would you rather have some comfort? So this is a different model, right? Based on time frame, how much? How about that model? You like that? Huh?
Teenager.
Yeah, our oldest daughter, I think she's pretty sharp. And when she graduated college, you know, when she got her first job, I started talking to her about an IRA. And she's looking at me like I got 4 eyeballs. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I should save for... The concept in her mind at 23 years old of thinking about being 65 was like going to Mars. I mean, to her, it was just completely... Didn't get it. But 10 years later, what is she saying? Well, gee, I wish I would have started that earlier. You know, wish I wouldn't have waited so long. You know? Yeah, Jim?
You don't have to be 65, you can start withdrawing at 59 and a half without penalty.
You can. Yeah.
So,
There's a whole, yeah, we're gonna talk about retirement later on in the series, but,
so an IRA, don't think 65, think 59.
yeah. Well, I think you need to, yes, I think you need to think taxes. My 2 cents, we'll talk about retirement later
Well,
on.
IRA is,
But,
it depends on what kind you have.
but what if you have a $100,000 a year job and you start draining your IRA for 9.5? You see what I'm saying?
Well, if you quit working, you won't have that.
That's what I'm saying. So, and you have to look at taxes and total income and things like that and decide whether I want that money for 9.5.
Yeah, but you talk to someone out of college and don't look at 65, look at 59 and a half.
Well, I mean, the question is how long do you want to
wait
work?
that long.
How long do you want to work? Okay, we're going to talk about retirement. Don't drag us into that one. Hang on. What about that model? Everything's saving, just a tiny little bit. They don't have anything to do with each other. Got some play money.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That's for retirement.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Retirement.
All your savings is in a safer spot right here. Might be in CDs or something,
Or
or
if you can't handle volatility.
can't handle volatility. I don't want to mix them. Do most of us look like that?
Savings.
Have a little bit, right? So this is a very healthy model right here. If you figure all things being equal over time, I've got, you know, maybe I'm 50 years old and I've got some savings that I'm putting to work for me, but a lot of it's safe where I need it for big expenditures, maybe saving up for a down payment on a house or a car, something like that. There's a boat I've always dreamed of, so I'm saving up big money for a boat. You know, knock yourself out, right? But if you put that money at risk, you may delay the big purchase you want to make. Yeah, Brian?
And kind of going back to the last week's class with our budgeting, that that 20% might shift from back and forth. It's fluid, right? Throughout the year, you may we got this summer trip coming up. Let's put a little bit more in savings. Okay, well now we don't have this we want to save for. Now we can throw this more to the investing side. So you can set up the budget to be fluid. You can still have call the whole thing maybe 20% for savings, or 10% or 15% or whatever you want to do, and then delegate that how you choose throughout the year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, you've got how much can you peel off and not spend right now, and either put it away or put it to work for myself. That's really what we're talking about.
And planning to do that.
And planning
to do either one or the other instead of hopefully we have something someday.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some things that you invest in? It's so big because, I mean, the only thing that we have is our house. You know?
Right. Well, that's a really good question and a really good.
Because I'm like, we don't invest in anything else. So
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good point. So you've got, let's look at these things. We have basically 3 categories, okay? So what can we do? What are some category A things? In other words, they are saving but not really putting to work. Laying away, building some interest. We're actually kind of blessed today. I think money markets now are paying 4.5%. I mean, not bad. I mean, we spent 20 years with money markets paying half. If you've got a CD paying 1%, I mean, it was like, take it, you know. But now, I mean, CDs are paying 4.5, 4, you know, it's not depending on how long, how much. So there's some decent little savings accounts out there because inflation's been high. But you all know that interest rates in the bank are directly relatable to inflation. As inflation comes down, those interest rates are going to come down. When inflation was really crazy, interest rates on savings accounts went up. So you're not really gaining anything because inflation's eating it up, right? But what are some,
Inflation and taxes.
yeah. Well, good news is, I mean, taxes have been low the last 9 years. So, good thing about the tax cuts extended, otherwise everybody's tax rates are gonna go up.
I don't know if you're getting this way, but do you want to just do a quick intro to traditional savings versus
Yeah.
CD versus high yield?
Yeah, well, real quick, well, what are some category A things? Jim?
Money market funds.
Yeah, money market? You know what that is? You know, it's basically a little higher paying savings account, essentially. That's liquid, you can get at it. But there might be some limits on how much you can put, how much bottom, you have to put this much in, maybe how many times you can get to it. It pays a little bit more interest than a regular savings account because there's some rules attached to it, but it's still guaranteed, very, very safe, right?
Very small amount of money that gets added to it,
I think you can put as much as you
depending
want.
on where you go.
Yeah, I mean, usually never a cap, but sometimes I'll say you have to put a certain amount in, 10,000.
And it's still insured.
Still sure.
Sometimes it's
Up to, like,
only insured up to like 250,000 or something.
Yeah, but 250,000, did you know this?
Is
Per
per
beneficiary.
Right.
So in other words, check this out. If Joe and I go and do a money market account or a CD, 1, 2, 3 beneficiaries, 3 kids, 5 times 250. So actually, it's pretty good. Yeah, Jim.
I don't think the money market's guaranteed.
Yeah, but if you're not,
It's very safe.
FDIC sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can get on that aren't, like you go to
Savings are,
go to
but I don't think money market-
JP Morgan, if you go to MidFirst or Chase, yeah, they,
It's good as long as you stay at the amount that you're supposed to have in it. If you don't have that amount in there, then they're gonna just start taking your money away from you. So you do have to be careful.
give me a note.
Traditional
Yeah.
savings.
Savings account. Checking account.
Cash.
CD, cash, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with cash?
It
What's the downside of just saving cash?
doesn't grow.
It doesn't grow, right? It's just putting it away, and there's ways to put it away. Remember the old days where people put it in a can and bury it in their yard, or put it on the mattress, right? Inflation's gonna eat that up. To your point, $1,000 put away today isn't worth $1,000 a year from now. So you at least want to try and get some growth there, so you can kind of try and keep up with inflation. Yeah, John?
Sometimes you get unique opportunities for a savings account. We, a couple months ago, got this offer for Navy Federal Credit Union. You open an account for 2,000 savings account, we'll give you a reward of $100.
Yeah.
So, those are, jump on those if
We
you
played that
can.
game for a while, $50, $100, right, to open an account. Then you're managing all these accounts, make sure there's no fees attached to it. A lot of times banks will charge you fees, and they're eating up your interest in fees. So these are just ways to save money, right? Just putting it away. It's liquid, which means I can get at it. It's relatively safe. There's ways to, I mean, I would even say, now I'm not gonna be, there's a difference, don't get too hung up in the government guarantee. Don't get too hung up on that. But there's ways to save that aren't guaranteed, that are still pretty safe. Like an annuity. I mean, they're not government guaranteed, but they're pretty safe. I mean, if you had an annuity that crashed, we're all doomed. You know what I mean? So it's like just your house ain't gonna worth anything. So I mean, you know what I mean? I wouldn't sweat it too much. What about stocks? Where would you put stocks at on this?
See,
Yeah, so stock market. And why is that? Higher risk. Yeah, higher risk.
Not as fluid.
Yeah, not as a little bit more difficult to get at. I can get at it, but if I don't play the stock market, but I imagine if you put a bunch of money in an account and then I got to get at it, there's always a delay, right? And then there's going to be fees to cash it in. It's going to be, they make it harder to get at. It's not really designed to be like a bank account, so it's a little bit tougher to play. But I mean, it can be liquid, but not as liquid as this stuff. Yeah, Jim.
It's changed. You can have commission-free trading now.
Yeah.
And you can get it within a day.
Yeah, within a day. How quick can I get this one?
Usually the same day.
Within 2 minutes. So a little more liquid, a bit faster. Yeah.
I've got 2, gold and silver and cryptocurrency.
Oh, wow.
I would put those in B.
I'd put gold and silver and B and
Gold and
crypto.
silver? Okay.
That's what I think.
Why are you putting precious metals here?
The
They're
value is
relatively
gone
safe,
up
the
so
value is
much.
skyrocketed. The
Yeah.
last 4 years was $18.50 an ounce about 4 years ago, now it's about 85 an ounce. For silver.
Yeah, a
Actually,
little
overall.
less volatile, less risky, but still it's still a commodity, it'll still move.
It's never gonna be worthless.
Yeah,
In 2008, the price skyrocketed.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. But it's money you can save and put to work for yourself, right? You could say a mutual fund. You know, the whole idea of a mutual fund, what is a mutual fund? Let me just ask that question.
It depends on what type of mutual
Yeah,
fund.
what is a mutual fund? What is it?
The money market is a mutual fund.
Yeah, what is a mutual fund? Let's answer this question. What is it?
It's where a bunch of people pool their money and you have a professional managing it.
Yeah, it's one of two things. It's managed by a professional like, you know, Chase or Wells Fargo or something like that. And it's usually a bunch of bundled things. So it's a bunch of stocks or bonds, and you can have different mutual funds have different bundling attributes to it. So it's usually it's not going out and buying a stock in General Motors. That's not a mutual fund. That's buying a stock. But but General Motors stock can be in a bundled mutual fund. So it's a fund. It's a bunch of things bundled together that's managed by a third party. So I'm not saying it's safe, but it's less volatile than a single stock. So a lot of times your 401k will be in a mutual fund because you can balance that. You know, when we were younger, it was like, well, let it roll. Like, let this thing run for 40 years, right? As you get closer, they have age-targeted mutual funds that will say, well, and every year you get older, that thing will start to shift towards a more safe thing, putting bonds and cash, things like that, versus just pure stocks. What else?
IRA.
Well,
All right, so
IRA is
an
not,
IRA is just a tax.
it's an account.
It's a tax description. It's not a thing necessarily. It's not like, in other words, I can have CDs that are IRA. I can have mutual funds that are IRA.
You have stocks in it.
I have stocks in IRA. An IRA is a tax description. It's how it's handled from a tax standpoint. But what does it say here? Yeah, IRAs can be in any one of these three things.
You said bonds, where does that go?
Well, so bonds, it depends on the kind of bond. You go out and government bonds are relatively safe. I mean, like treasury bonds are relatively safe. Municipal bonds are a little bit riskier, but they pay higher. Why do you think they pay higher?
Risky.
Because they're riskier. If I go in, if I buy a municipal bond in a city in California, that can be riskier than a municipal bond in some oil-rich county in Texas. See the difference? Yes, sir.
What's a Roth IRA?
Oh yeah. So this is really retirement. I don't want to get too far into that, but basically, there's two different kind of IRAs. Roth is after tax. In other words, I put money into this after I pay the tax on it. A traditional is before tax. So what a traditional IRA does is it allows me to reduce my taxable income now, but I'm going to pay it later when I pull it out. That's why I was arguing about hang on the whole 59.5 thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if it's a traditional IRA, I'm going to want to push that thing out as far as possible if I'm still working. If it's a Roth, it's after tax. I've already paid the tax on it. So I can pull that money out later at any time. It's not going to hurt me tax-wise. So it's what are you trying to do? If you're trying to reduce your taxable income today because you're making six figures and I'm getting eaten up in taxes, you want a traditional IRA. But if that's not your concern, you want a Roth. Most people go Roth today. Yes, sir.
With the traditional IRA, 70 and a half, you're required to start taking
I
it.
think
And they
it's,
tell you how much.
yeah, I think my guy told me it's probably going to be 73 one time. It's going on. Not to get too much into the retirement. That's a whole different thing. Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it something that you can start saving for your kids for school?
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. It's called a 529, and that's an IRA, really an IRA. A 529 plan is basically I can put money away and then pull it out tax-free later if it's going to be used for education-related things.
ESA account, another one, 529 ESA.
You say, yeah. Here's And they're great ways to get tax-free growth that I'm using for education. The only problem is, what if, hypothetically, Easton turns 18, 19 years old and goes, I don't want to go to college. I want to do that.
You can switch it to another kid.
Okay, then the next one comes along and says, I don't want to go to college. The next one comes along, well, what if you have one kid, they don't want to go to college? You have two, one went to college, right? I mean, that can happen. So the downside of this is you can get there and you're required, now my understanding is too, I'm not an expert on these, but I think you can even use it for, parents can use it. But there's limitations on who can use it and what can be used for. So a lot of times people today are saying, I don't really want to do that, I'd rather go to some other mechanism. It's not worth the tax benefit because it's not far enough out, you know? So there's all kind of.
Is the 529 the same as the Coverdale?
I'm not sure.
It's for the same purpose.
Is it?
Didn't the Secure Act make it so if you died and left your 401k to your kids, they have to cash it out within 10 years?
Within 10 years.
So the
my-
government can collect all the taxes on it.
Yeah. So my parents passed away within a short time frame, so I inherited their IRAs, bundled them together into one. You had to do that. So I put them together. It's one beneficiary IRA. I've got 10 years from the time that I inherit that has to be cashed out.
So to me, that's like, what's the point in leaving it to a kid anymore? You might as
Well-
well just spend it because
well-
it's going to get taxed and cash
Well,
out.
I mean,
Like,
they just passed away before they could spend it all.
But before that, you could leave it and they could just, okay, I'll use it when I'm in
Yeah.
retirement.
It was
let
your
grow.
traditional.
But
so,
now they're not letting you do that.
yeah, it was your traditional, so that means the taxes were never paid on it.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to pay the tax on that. And they're saying, well, if I don't make you pull it out, you're allowed to die and nobody pay a tax on it, right?
Yeah.
And then it goes to my kids, and then so at some point, you just, like Jim was saying, on any kind of IRA, there's a point at which you have to drain it. So the beneficiary, they're saying, you got 10 years to drain it.
Yeah, I feel like that law just killed generational wealth for the average person.
I just got to pay taxes on it.
That's
Yeah.
the purpose of it.
So.
Let's keep going. Yes, sir.
Maybe 401k?
Yeah, 401k. So I'm going to put that here. 401k is just an employment-sponsored version of an IRA. What's the benefit of a 401k over an IRA?
Matching.
Matching is one. That's the big one. There's another huge benefit. The amount you can put in it. Well, they can both be invested in the same thing. But I can put, like at my age, I think it's $34,500 in a 401k. Yeah, 60 to 63, you can put $34,000 in. You know how much I can put in an IRA? $8,000. So this thing I can put, what is that? Do my math. 44,000 divided by 8. 4.5 times? What's that?
24,000.
24,000, but
So
4.5 times
as
more.
much.
Plus, it's a match. So if you get a 401k, that is the way to go. And job I had a while back would let you put 25% in. So that's great. And it had a Roth.
Oh,
About life insurance.
Life insurance. What do you think about that?
scam.
Not a fan, but I would put that here. I mean, it's relatively safe. We can talk offline. I don't want to go on the record, but I would.
Well, there's a term and
Wanna do
there's
it?
universal, so.
Yeah, I would do it.
Yeah,
I'll
they
share
can find
story.
ways not to pay too.
I mean, you're talking about like term.
We have it, so I'm like.
What, are we talking like
are we
a,
doing something
wait a
right?
minute, wait, are you talking like a term life insurance protects him if he
Like,
dies?
yeah,
That's a different thing. That's if he's the sole breadwinner and something happens to him, you and the kids are in big trouble. So that's a good idea to go out and get a term insurance, right? But what happens when your youngest turns 18 years old, 17, 18? You want to keep that there? Like all the money you paid in all these years, maybe you
Now
don't
you
think-
don't need it
You
as
need it
much.
well, you just have it for us, it's just on the adults, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what he's saying is for protection for your kids if anything happens to the adults.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
That's
Once you
why
don't need the
it's
protection
term
anymore, then turn it off. But you also have to look at it and say, well, how much did I spend on this? I never got anything for it. I mean, but look, your little kids, my 2 cents, I would have term insurance on. But that's just, yes.
But isn't there a, life insurance that's flexible,
So,
that you can put it so much in and then have
That's what I'm not a fan, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not. Yeah. Oh, well, we can talk about it.
there are better ways to do
Yeah,
it.
there's better ways to go. Let's read Matthew 25. Can we turn there real quick? Matthew 25. Wish we had more time, folks. Well, it's a good conversation, good stuff. Matthew 25:14. So obviously Jesus is telling a parable here. This is talking about the kingdom and putting our gifts to use, but the concept still applies. Matthew 25:14. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted them with his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability, then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he had the 2 talents, made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. But after a long time the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you have delivered to me 5 talents. Here I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also had the 2 talents come forward, saying, Master, you have delivered to me 2. Here I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little, I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also had received the 1 talent, came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. What did the master say to him?
Wicked servant.
But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant. Slothful. You ever been called a, how do you feel about being called a sloth? You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has will be more given, and he will have an abundance. What do we take? What do we make of that?
Don't just bury it in the backyard.
Now this is talking about lots of things: spiritual gifts, talent we have, blessings we have. Are we putting it to work for the master? Right? That's the idea, right? But what is the main thought there? What's that concept built on?
He didn't trust the master, and that was the biggest problem.
He was working in fear rather than
Right. He did not
Yeah.
trust the master.
putting what you have, putting it to work for you, right? Work for him. Yeah. If we're given blessings, a good job, good health, beautiful family, good economy, a blessed country that we live in with the prosperity we have, I mean, should we put it to work? Yeah, Jim.
The first 2 were active and doing stuff with the money. The third one was slothful. He didn't do anything. He didn't even try.
Yeah. I mean, didn't even try. We just was scared to death. So remember our models we had before where I just don't want to have anything put to work. I just want to think, I'm just got it in the bank, got it in the can in the backyard. That's just working in fear and expecting the worst to happen rather than, understanding I've been blessed, I'll continue to be blessed, I'm going to trust in God, I'm going to use good judgment, I'm going to, have my eyes open and follow what the scriptures have to say. So we've got some good stuff here. Proverbs 21:20, Proverbs 6:6-8. We've got these right here. But here's 21:5. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. What do you think of that? Get rich quick scheme, Anybody get these texts all the time saying you only have to work 3 hours a week and I'll pay you $5,000? Have you seen that? Anybody else get those texts besides me?
And I'm like, when did I start looking?
It sounds yeah, I mean, it sounds like a hasty shortcut, doesn't it? I'm not too sure. Yeah, John?
You're talking about saving and investing here. The story we just read about in Matthew 25, he says you could have at least put it in the bank to gain interest. That's telling me we should go above and beyond saving. We should be investing.
Yeah.
We should be putting it to use.
Yeah, at least put it in the bank. Get something that's just kind of obvious, right? And easy. Not necessarily saying be risky, but you'd at least put it in the bank and have me some interest.
What about the servant who invested and lost money, though? Because it doesn't say that. And I always wondered about that with that parable.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people try and they lose.
Yeah, the whole nature of that is what you're to whom is given much is expected. And if maybe the one who doesn't feel good, isn't confident in investing and playing the market, like that last verse, you can at least go to the bank and got some
Yeah.
interest.
At least save.
At least do that. Anyway, yeah,
Can
Joy?
you scroll back to the scriptures and
Sure.
take a picture of it? Thank you.
I mean, what's Genesis 41? Genesis 41.
So it has to do with the plagues, not the
No.
famine.
The famine in Egypt, yeah. Put away, store up for difficult times, right? Expect rough waters, they come. It's not always a beautiful sunny day, right? Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth.
Pretty simple.
Sit on your hands. You know, think about it. Think about putting your blessings to work. Think about, you know, what kind of time frame am I in. Find some good resources. Have a good balanced approach. You know, it's not healthy to have just one person barking in your ear and just, you know, if you wait, hearing from me sounds crazy, go talk to somebody else and get a good balanced approach on how to put your blessings to work. But this idea of being diligent, don't be lazy, and plan, and you'll prosper. Yes, sir.
I have another suggestion for A, HSA.
HSA. Yeah, HSAs are good.
I would put that under A.
Yeah, I think so. What is an HSA? Health savings account? You can use this like another IRA. If you don't have a 401k, normally people that offer an HRA also offer a 401k. But there's limits on how much you can put into that.
And I think it resets at the end of the year.
Yeah, every year you can put more into it, and then basically you can use that for anything later in life. You know, so these are good ways to kind of supplement
Yeah, I think it's like that.
your savings.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
I was gonna say something about the servant, the last one. Sometimes people aren't taught what to do with it, so like sometimes I wonder the situation, but obviously it probably doesn't have anything to do with that. But you think
Yeah.
about a newly Christian that doesn't know anything, so.
But they're certainly not a vast other stuff. You're not talking to the other stuff.
You know what I thought? Why didn't they get their heads together? How many talents did all three of them have together? 8. That first guy had the talent to double. This second guy had the talent to double. What if they had gotten together? How much would they add total for the master if they'd have brought their talents together?
Mutual funds.
Yeah, bummer. They could have had 16 talents for the master when he came back. To me, that's always the lesson from that, right? And that's really a lesson for us as a church, isn't it? To, listen to those that have a skill and some experience and some talent and some insight. And together, we can accomplish more than we can ever accomplish individually. So, I mean, that's the big lesson. Last thought to wrap us up. Take the message, John.
Next week, we're going to talk about investing.
Good.
Investing in the casino.
Yeah. John's going to take. So, we've moved from budgeting, right? Planning to make sure we've got our ducks in a row, saving and investing, laying it aside, putting it to work. And the ultimate gamble is.
There's the gambling that odds are against you.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I'm going to give you just a quick teaser for next week. But I'm an economics major. That's what I went to school for. And in every statistics class I ever took, we looked at gambling games. Every single one of them has a negative expected value. So the longer you play it, the more guaranteed you are to be negative. Every one. That's just the way they are. That's why they build these Taj Mahals in Las Vegas and Desert Diamond or wherever they go. That's why. That's what pays for it. So John's going to talk about that next week, and that's not really a good approach, and how we can stay a little bit better. Thank you all very much for your time. Looking forward to see you all next week. Okay. Thanks everybody.